Now, Melania Trump has finally come out of the shadows and defended her husband against the numerous sexual assault allegations. Now, she went on CNN with Anderson Cooper to talk about this, and she started out by saying, look, I believe my husband when he says I didn't do it, and that this was all just an organized, it was all organized from the opposition, from the Hillary Clinton camp, and with the details, she asks, did they ever check the background of these women? They just don't have any facts. Well, that's very interesting. Now, she also said in this interview, and I do have a video for this, that her husband has used this kind of, or has not used this kind of language before around her. So let's take a look at some of that video.
10 days ago that Access Hollywood released that tape. I'm wondering, when you first saw it, when you first heard it, what did you think?
I said to my husband that, the language is inappropriate. It's not acceptable. And I was surprised because that is not the man that I know. And as you can see from the tape, the cameras were not on. It was only a mic. And I wonder if they even knew that the mic was on, because they were kind of a boy talk, and he was lead on, like egg on, from the host to say dirty and bad stuff.
You feel the host, Billy Bush, was sort of egging him on?
Yes, yes.
Is that language you had heard him use before?
No, that's why I was surprised, because I said, I don't know that person that would talk that way, and that he would say that kind of stuff in private. I heard many different stuff, boys talk. The boys, the way they talk when they grow up and they want to sometimes show each other, oh, this and that, and talking about the girls. But I was surprised, of course.
So there's a lot to unpack there in this whole video. Before I go to my guest here, you haven't heard your husband talk like that, probably because if you talk like that, you're going to end up sleeping on the couch or worse. Imagine, if you will, if you talk like that to your wife, your girlfriend, right? And she doesn't, some people have this relationship where you can joke around with each other about that kind of stuff, but not all relationships are like that. And just imagine, you would probably end up in the doghouse, especially if you said, hey, I grab her by the pussy. I'm just saying, that's some bad stuff, right? Now, the other thing here is that she claims that this is all organized by the opposition. They've got no facts. Well, where are her facts? Where are Trump's facts? Who has the facts
Call
on their
Sean
side?
Hannity.
Call Sean Hannity. That's true.
He told Sean Hannity he didn't do anything.
That's it.
Why won't anybody call him? Why won't anybody call him?
I'll get right on that. Let's dial up Sean Hannity right now. No, Trump, he's been proven to be essentially at this point a serial liar. And but look, okay, so look, Ron, what do you think about this whole thing? I mean, as I said, there's a lot to unpack there.
Well, absolutely. First of all, I think to blame Billy Bush, I mean, when you listen to that audio, you can tell in any given conversation who is in the driver's seat, so to speak, which, no pun intended, because they were in a vehicle, I think, right? Weren't they in a vehicle while this was going on?
Yeah, they're in a bus.
Yeah, they were on the radio show. But Donald Trump was just clearly dominating that conversation. He was imposing this stuff on Billy Bush, and for the most part, at least everything I heard, Billy Bush was just kind of passively laughing and passively agreeing.
Yeah.
So to say he was egged on, I mean that's certainly, there's no audio indicating that. And the people that don't believe these women that came forward, even though there's so many of them, I think we're up to 10 now. I mean, you have to ask yourself, what incentive do they really have to do this? I mean, this is a guy that was on a huge platform saying, I never did anything wrong. And finally, they have the support and courage to speak out. Well, yeah, you did. And like, why would they risk all the vitriol that they've already gotten, especially in such a heated, divisive, divided time already? And some of the people that just aren't I mean, Rudy Giuliani, for instance, he went on a big spiel about voter fraud.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, he's saying he believes Donald Trump. Voter fraud, something that, sure, I'm not going to say it never, ever, ever happens, but it is so minuscule. And all of the cases saying it's something real significant have been debunked over and over again. Meanwhile, Giuliani buys into this, says that this is a big thing, but totally just believes Donald Trump. Strictly from a belief standpoint, that is the equivalent of an atheist saying that they're not convinced that Santa Claus isn't real. Strictly from a belief standpoint. I'm not saying that, if you don't believe in God, you're the same as somebody that believes Donald Trump. I'm not saying. I just mean strictly from a level of belief. It would be the same as being like, well, I'm an atheist, but I'm not convinced that Santa Claus isn't real. Yeah, I totally believe Donald Trump. I believe that, but voter fraud, that's really significant.
Super significant. You know it. Let me go back to what you said about Billy Bush, right? Now, you mentioned that they were on a bus, and then Melania Trump took that bus and just threw Billy Bush under it. That's essentially this whole thing. Like, oh, it wasn't Donald Trump. No, Billy Bush, he was egging them on. No, Bush is the guy that, and you know this dude, right? The kind that follows people around, the popular people around is like, oh yeah, you're so awesome, you're so clever. Oh my God, Donald Trump, you're such a great guy. You say such amazing things. I love you. It's that guy. Billy Bush is that guy, and I kind of feel sorry for him.
Billy Bush is a by-the-book sycophant that had a show.
Yeah, and this is why I feel bad for him a little bit. Like, because he's getting thrown under that bus, and everyone's like, no, it's his fault. It's his fault. He was egging on Donald Trump. He made Donald Trump say all these terrible things. Really? He did? Well, that's a surprise, because nobody... I thought Donald Trump was his own man who makes his own decisions, and he's the decider-in-chief and all that stuff. So
where do they let you grab them, Donald? Tell me what it's like.
Yeah. Because I never have. I know, that's unfair to Billy Bush, but I don't care.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have much sympathy for the guy either,
No.
but yeah, I mean, to say like he was egging him on, there's no audio, at least none that I've come across, that indicates that's anywhere close to being the case.
Or that it's anywhere near the reality of the situation.
Right.
Billy Bush was essentially the toady that was, kissing Donald Trump's ass.
He was the lackey. He was the one that Ralphie just pushed in the snow.
Mm-hmm.
Donald Trump was the Scott Farkas. That's
awful.
Never a bad time of the year for a Christmas Story reference.
Oh, and look, to go back to the whole, like, hey, do we have some facts out? Well, there's a new Political report that came out today that basically there were 6 witnesses that confirmed Natasha Stoyanov's story. Now, remember, she was the one who was interviewing Trump at his Mar-a-Lago resort, and she said that he pushed me up against the wall, like took me in a room, pushed me up against the wall, kissed me. She called it a attempted rape, essentially.
Mm.
There were 6 witnesses that said that they were there. Melania Trump said, I don't even know who that person is. I've never met her. Really? They met on Fifth Avenue, according to these witnesses, that day. And there are more. There are more people.
Well, there's people that have corroborated the first wife's story as well. I'm forgetting her name off the top of my head, but
Marla
there's
Maples?
her now ex-husband, who was I believe her fiance at the time.
Oh,
he corroborated everything, and they're not together anymore, and they're not on good terms either, apparently.
Yeah.
But he said, that's what happened.
This is like his fiance to his sister and his wife. I just love that long chain. that you had there.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying that it's not wrong, and I'm saying that you're actually making a good point. If you're not on the best of terms, if you hate each other, but you're both agreeing, yeah, we both did see this when we were together, that says something.
Mm-hmm.
But there are
Right.
more. Lisa Hertz, right, was one of the witnesses. She was thrown off the day she ran into Melania Trump on Fifth Avenue. Marina Grasick, who told People that Stoyanov called her the day after the assault and detailed what happened to her. Then there's her former journalism professor, Paul McLaughlin, who also spoke with People about Stoyanov's story and said that she called him that same night seeking advice on what to do. And then there's People's East Coast editor, Liz McNeil, the deputy East Coast news editor, Mary Green, and a co-worker named Lisa Ham, who all knew about this. So, I mean, there's the new revelations that came out today in People, and so great. Now there's more here, right, that I want to talk about as well. Now later on in that interview, she said that she agrees with Michelle Obama, right? She agreed with her so much that she stole her speech during the.
Yeah, I was
convention,
gonna
by the
say
way.
she certainly
Yeah.
agrees on a lot of verbiage.
Yeah. And then, well, she agrees with Michelle that, hey, if you kiss or grope a woman without consent, well, that is sexual assault. Well, I'm glad that we can agree on something. We can agree on, like, actual facts. Oh, what's next? We agree on the color of the sky? Water's wet? Yeah, of course it's sexual assault. Of course. But she also said every assault should be taken care in a court of law. And of course, and to accuse, no matter who it is, a man or a woman, without evidence is damaging and unfair. Now, what kind of evidence does she need? Right? Do you need video? Well, it's not like there's video. There is audio, however, Trump bragging about doing such things, and it kind of matches the story down to the tic tacs. You know, oh, I see a beautiful woman and I kiss them. I make sure to put in the tic tacs, and then I give some tic tacs, and then boom, that's when I hit him. That's when I do it. So, and look, there are a lot of questions obviously coming from the right. Oh, are these women being honest? Well, do we know if they're all being honest? No, we don't know yet, right? It's not in court. However, the way that I look at it is that you've got this long line of accusers. You've also got this history where Trump has settled sexual assault lawsuits. Not as many as Roger Ailes, but, you know, there was at least one.
But hey, if he starts that media company,
Oh, yeah. There might be
I'm
more.
sure that'll be the first benchmark.
Basically, what I'm saying is that where there's smoke, there's fire. And
Mm-hmm.
Donald Trump is a fire. You could say dumpster fire, and that would probably be pretty accurate as well. But, I mean, and then finally, like, here's probably the worst defense, right? Because everything that we've seen so far, okay, that's not great, but here's the worst defense. She basically came out and claimed that a lot of these women that it claimed that Donald Trump sexually assaulted them, well, they were not pretty enough to be sexually assaulted.
Oh yeah, I remember that when he said,
Yeah.
"Look at that,
Look at that face. That's what she does. I mean,
Well, you know, sexual assault is usually, I mean, at least, you know, everything you hear from the psychology community and what have you, it's not about looks, it's about power.
yeah.
And if there's one thing we can all say confidently about Donald Trump, he is obsessed with the idea of power. That's all he knows. That's all he was raised with. And he had a silver spoon so significant that he can't relate to any problems the normal person goes through. So it's just a quest for power is pretty much the only source of conflict in his life.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent, non-corporate media, go to our Patreon page and become a patron. Patreon.com/TYTNation.